From the advertising media capital of the world, New Milford, Connecticut, wherever that is. This is Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson. Now, here's your host, Matt Wilson.
Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson. Yes, a bi-weekly-ish podcast that has turned into a weekly-ish live podcast. I like live. Brings me back to my radio roots. Live is the way to go. Anyway, presented by Silverback Advertising, online at silverbackadvertising.com. Thank you for joining me today. Good morning. I appreciate it. I want to talk about excuse me. I want to talk about change today. Yes. There's a phrase that I've heard in business that I just don't like, and it's called let me start that again. Oh, I can't. We're live. There's a phrase in business that has always bugged me. And the phrase is, quote, "We've always done it that way." I hate that phrase. Just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean you're doing it the right way. Or maybe you are doing it the right way. Maybe you're not doing it the best way, the most efficient way, the way that best serves your customers. We've always done it that way is not a good excuse for not doing something. You know, anything different than the way you've done business before. There's always room for improvement. And it's important to be open to other ideas. And people always point to Blockbuster when they talk about, failure to change and, how it can sink your business. And maybe that's over exaggerating a little bit. Sink your business. Doesn't mean if you don't change, your business is going to go out of business, but it can for sure have a detrimental effect. And I don't look at the Netflix thing as, I don't look at the Blockbuster thing as, Netflix, that's the thing. And yeah, it had something to do with it, but I look at it as, from a Blockbuster standpoint, a failure to adapt to customers' changing expectations. Netflix comes out and there's no late fees. And then people get sick of late fees. Why am I paying a late fee at Blockbuster? I rented Havana, it cost me $35. Whatever the reason, people decided that wasn't acceptable, probably because of Netflix. And Blockbuster failed to recognize the changing customer expectation and then make a change to its process. But I can't talk today. Make a change to its process. Let me try a little Stoke. Maybe that'll help me. I cannot speak. All right, let's give it a try again. Should we just play the intro and try it all over again? I'm just kidding. So the same can be said for car dealerships. Customers don't want the experience they got 25 years ago. Customer expectations have changed. The way we always done it. I literally cannot talk. Radio professional, I cannot speak. The way we've always done it does not work anymore. You've got to meet the customer where they want to be met. The customer wants a simple buying process. You got to give them a simple buying process. Why does it take 5 hours to buy a car? I get it. I worked on the dealership level. I was in the store. I get it. But why are we not looking for a process to get it done in 45 minutes? I closed on my house quicker than it took me to buy my last car. The way we've always done it does not work. Search for a better way. Even in business, any kind of business, not just car dealerships. I work at an advertising agency. I have no idea what my title is. We're not big on titles. But the way we've always done things doesn't make it the best way. I work on the digital team at my agency, and one of the things that we focus on is innovation. Is what we're doing right now for our clients working? Yes. Are the results fantastic? Yes. Could there be new or better things we can look at? Yes. We want to innovate. We want to find new things. We want to evolve. We want to be more efficient. The way we've always done it doesn't have to be the way we always do it. Let me say that again. The way we've always done it does not have to be the way we always do it. Search for improvement, efficiencies, a better way of doing things, which means efficiencies. I just said it the different way in case you didn't understand the word efficiencies. Innovate. David Bowie said it best. What did he say? Sure, he's a kind of an odd fella, but he said, changes. I don't know the next word, the next lyric in that song, so I'll just stop at the changes part. So along those lines of changes and making sure you innovate and stay ahead of the curve, there's a new study out from a company that I love named Quantum 5, and they have data that backs up how employee turnover can actually cost you money and hinder profit, and that you can assign a value to each employee based on profit for your dealership. And the reason I bring it up is maybe it's time to make a change to the way we look at employees. Employees aren't just warm bodies. Employees can generate profit for your company if you take care of them and give them the resources. And when you hire somebody and spend time training that person and invest time and resources in that person, and they leave in 6 months, you're losing money. If they stay for 5 years, that employee's value goes up. You're making money. And we've all heard those anecdotes and probably know that it's true. But now there is data, or data, depending on how you say it, to back that up. And we're going to hear some of that data from David O'Brien, the president and CEO at Quantum 5, or for some reason here on my show map, I wrote it down as Quantum 6. I just upgraded them from 5 to 6. Anyway, we're going to talk to David O'Brien coming up in just a moment here on Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson. If you're thinking about starting your own podcast, let me tell you about Anchor. Not like the anchor that comes off a boat that helps the boat stay in place by like landing on the bottom of a lake or an ocean. Anchor, as in the platform that helps make your podcast easy. Anchor is owned by Spotify, and it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. So you record it, you put it on the Anchor, and then they blast it out to all the platforms people use to listen to podcasts, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all them other ones. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. And you know the old saying, if it's free, it's for me. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is anchor.fm to get started. The other day, I got a call from my dear friend, Christina. We used to work together at a Nissan store. And we were, talking about the automotive industry. And I was like, oh, hey, where does that guy still at, this store? And where did so-and-so go? And nobody was where they used to be. And our conversation was about, like, we used to work at a Nissan store. And I was telling a story about that store. And she said, oh, you could walk in that showroom and you wouldn't recognize anybody in there. And it was interesting because I've only been gone from that store for 3.5 years. I was the marketing director there. And to think 3.5 years later, I wouldn't recognize anybody was interesting. And our conversation was about how people get hired at this store. Then they're kind of on an island. They're like, you're hired, you sell cars, take this training online, and then have at it. And there really is no support. They're kind of on an island. And that's a big problem. So I was chit-chatting with an old friend of mine, David O'Brien. He is the president and CEO at Quantum 5. And we both identified this issue. And I was like, we got to record this and talk about it because it's a good topic to discuss. Welcome to the show, David. How you doing?
Awesome. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Hanging in there. Things are good. Automotive, I love this time of year. It's fall, starting to get busy. Summer's over. Kids are back in school, and auto dealerships are going to be cranking the next couple months. And this kind of ties in with the episode I did a couple of weeks ago. I did an episode a couple of weeks ago about job hopping because I've seen a lot on LinkedIn recently. I feel like a lot of like so-and-so starting the new job at this place. Congratulate them now. And I've seen a lot of that over the last month. And it got me thinking, like, is this the time of the year where people are getting restless and they're hopping jobs before the holidays? Like, I'm not sure why that happens this time of the year, but how much of people jumping around do you think is the fact that they just don't feel like they're getting the support or the training they need to be comfortable in their new environment?
Well, I'm going to answer it this way,
Okay.
right? It's not what I think or what I feel. there's some really important data that I think in automotive we ought to pay attention to, right? Because these folks that are job hopping, or Matt, some of them just say, I'm still here, but I'm actively trying to find the next gig,
Right.
right? When you follow the breadcrumbs that they leave behind, right? They're telling us why they're leaving. They're telling us why they are thinking about going elsewhere. And the bottom line is the data says we have to do a better job of creating a culture and an environment that paints a career path, that gives them a place that they can see, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm well led. I see where my future is. And in automotive, in my 30 years, right, we haven't done that as well as we needed to, because there was always this constant supply of, I'll find the next Matt Wilson,
Mhm.
I'll find the next Dave O'Brien, because there's people in the job market. And that's not our case today, is it?
So I didn't even know that there was data on this type of thing, because like you said, I always feel like it's like, well, we'll get the next guy in. If that didn't work out, they didn't work out. But I didn't think that dealers looked at it internally as like, well, here's some statistics. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, there was any statistics involved in this type of thing. Like what kind of things can be measured to tell us this story?
So there is this company that for the last 23 years has been passionately trying to do this. And their name was ESI Trends. This year we purchased them and they became part of Quantum 5. They're now called ESIQ. And for the last 20 plus years, right, this founder of this company, Ted Crable, has been doing employee satisfaction assessments on 80, 90,000 people a year in car dealerships.
Wow.
On top of that, Ted is the guy that NADA trusts to do the annual workforce study that understands what's going on in automotive, from income to retention to turnover. So when you just take, for example, the employee satisfaction data, you go, okay, what are people saying? What is their net promoter view of their dealership? And you find that almost 40% on average at even really great stores are out there saying, I think I'm going to look for a new job this year to see if there's greener pastures. Here's a couple of data points, right? Today, the 1 year retention level in automotive for salespeople, what would you guess it is?
1 year retention level in automotive.
What percentage of them do we keep for a year?
I don't know, 60%.
Okay, you erred on the right side. It's actually 71%.
Okay.
Right? Okay, now same population, how many people make it to the 3 year point?
Much lower, I would think. 40%.
That's the exact number. It's
Hey,
40%.
I'm smart.
Yeah, no, you are, man. So now service advisors, same thing. 71% are there after a year, but only 45%. Guess what the data says is the number one driver of a customer deciding to repurchase from that dealership?
Service department treatment.
And there's an 82% correlation that says it's the relationship with their advisor.
I believe it.
So think about today at that Nissan store you're talking about. If only 45% of them are going to be there in 3 years, what happens to repurchase intent for that dealership?
I don't know these people. I don't have that connection to this store.
And you look at it and you go, okay, so why would 60%, why are they leaving, right? And when you talk to them, they give you the answers. When you talk to them, it's like really straightforward stuff. Like, I don't feel like there's much communication between me and my leader. I don't feel like there's a huge connection in the sales department. Think about how much more gross they do. So we actually drill down a little further. If you take the gross profit per employee, when you move retention, are you ready for this? By just 10 points, just just move it 10 points in any service and sales team, right? Translates to another $650,000 a year,
Holy cow.
because gross profit per employee will go up $775 per person per month. So there is this really good data that says, here's what's going on. And if we in automotive don't start doing something about the kinds of things like, are we making good hiring decisions for retention, Matt? I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've definitely hired some people in automotive because we were desperate,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because the
Definitely.
owner was sitting in his office going, why isn't anybody waiting on that customer out in used cars?
Yeah, he does.
Right?
He does the math. I got 10 salespeople. I got to sell X amount of cars this month. I need 3 more people right now. And yeah.
And in today's world, if I don't hire for retention, and if I'm not getting my managers ready for what does communication look like? Look at what you and I are doing today, right? We're figuring out different ways to communicate with each other and with people.
Mhm.
In a typical dealership, how do we communicate with them?
Sales meeting.
A sales meeting. There's not much paycheck stuffers going on anymore because it's direct deposits, right? There's a generation in sales and a generation in all of dealerships right now that says, okay, if you don't find different ways than calling a meeting to communicate with me,
Mhm.
I actually don't think you're communicating very much. And so finding new and different ways, whether it's visual, whether it's written, whether it's story, whether it's text, we've got to just start doing different things to connect with the generation in dealerships. Or what they're saying is what you're seeing at the Nissan dealer, which is you're going to go in and I'm not going to be there anymore.
What about like a video? You make a weekly video that you share the link with, it's like an internal video, share the link with your employees. Here's what we got going on this week. Great job, so-and-so and so-and-so. Come up to my office if you have any questions.
I think it's important, right? But I think it's also important that we get our general managers and our dealers more comfortable with that idea of, hey, we're going to do, and I'm just going to use that company, a shameless plug for Bomb Videos, right?
Yep.
But I'm going to use something, whether it's Bomb Video included in an email that goes out to my employees or something different, but I'm going to seek to communicate differently than I have in the past, right? I'm going to include a video and a text message that goes to my whole employee group. I'm going to do something that helps them go, oh, they're keeping me up to date. I know what's going on around here. I know what good things, I know what they need me to do, right?
Yep.
The other thing this generation says, right? And I think we're going to all have to be watching this. I have a really good friend, Kevin Hull, who's doing some really great work at JM&A for JM&A dealers, right? And Kevin says all the time, hey, there's some built-in turnover coming as pricing goes to something more normal, right?
Yep.
There's going to be people who just naturally go, Matt, I'm going to go look for greener pastures. I don't believe my dealer is paying me as well as I could be making somewhere else now that there's used car competitive pricing. I was listening to Paul Daly and Kyle the other day, right? And it's like, yeah, the competitiveness may not be as bad as 18 and 19, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, so how do I start to not let that happen? And I think getting to know our people differently, including them, this generation says, why don't I get to be included in making the business better?
Mm-hmm. I like that point. It's almost easy now, but it's not going to always be easy.
No.
Customers are going to have choices, and there's going to be
changing by the day.
Yep.
I went to a dealership last week. They had 25 cars in stock. They thought they were in heaven.
Yeah,
like,
right.
They're like, we have 25 cars in stock. I have a new Jeep coming. They took pictures and sent it to me of the Jeep before they put it on the transport.
Oh, that's
right.
Funny.
They had 30 cars,
it's
including
like a party. Throw a party.
Yeah. They're in heaven.
Let's talk about training a little bit. When I was the marketing director at a Nissan group, we used to, have a sales meeting. I would go to the sales meeting every Monday to talk about what was going on in the marketing and sit in and see what's going on in sales. And one of the general managers at one of the stores would talk about, oh, we hired so-and-so to come in and do some training in a couple of weeks. And it was almost like a special event. Like, ooh, we had a training thing going on. But how important is continued training and to like normalize it as part of the job, part of doing business, as opposed to like a once a quarter surprise party?
So what you and I watch in our kids is that learning is changing, right?
Mhm.
It's not the same as it was when we were growing up. And as learning changes, learning in automotive has to change. We saw some changes in the last 20 years. People like my company said, okay, we should go make videos. There's this cool place called YouTube. We can host a private location. People can come in and watch YouTubes. Then there's Lightstream and the great work that Lightstream did with hosting video channels, right?
Mhm.
But now, as the generational change continues to happen, look at your own kids. I look at my kids and my grandkids, and how we do learning is not as go watch a video base, well, unless it's like how to fix a light fixture in a house or something, right?
Right.
Skill stuff, which is what you and I watch salespeople, service advisors, and leaders do, needs to take a more interactive quality to it. And so there's some companies out there doing cool stuff. Rocket's doing cool stuff. I think Quantum, we're trying hard to do cool stuff that says, what if you could create learning as a continuum? What if it offered you a way to be as convenient as your phone? What if that convenience had micro lessons? What if you could do it anytime you wanted? What we're trying to do at Quantum, though, is also make it very privacy based. And we didn't get rid of humans when we added technology.
Right.
And what we decided to do is we decided to keep community. So, on top of keeping a technology advantage, Matt, we also we believe you ought to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody and go, all right, I got this crazy email from a customer. Let me show it to you. And what do I do with what this person wants?
Yes.
Right? And it's how can I bring the best? Because I'm preaching to the choir, but there's 372,000 people in retail auto dealerships right now while you and I are talking. And I think there's a way to cost effectively help those people get better and better. And your first part of your question was, how do I measure it? And I think it can be measured. And at Quantum, we're trying to measure every single day and answer our dealers' questions about, am I making more money because my team got better?
Right.
And our answer is it's possible.
Are there certain types of stores that you think struggle with this more, whether it's groups or small family-owned stores or, city stores? Like, is there a certain type of store that struggles with not only employee retention, but understanding the importance of it more than others?
I see it across a whole bunch of them, right? I mean, we have clients that are publicly held, group stores.
Yep.
We have privately owned that are 25 to 50 locations. We have small groups of privately owned that are 2 or 3.
Yep.
And they're in small communities. So I see it across the whole swath, Matt, because here's what happens. Culture eats all of the strategy we put in place for breakfast. So if you don't have a team that's really committed to the culture, that really is going to live it, culture just gets eroded by the things we ignore. It gets eroded by the bad habits we let the last 20 months of great business put in place.
Yep.
And I don't think it's one size fits all. I think it's happens.
Yeah. I think too, I asked that question because my intuition tells me that it would be more difficult for smaller stores. Like I'm just thinking of there's only one dealership, and I live in a small town in Connecticut. There's only one dealership in town. They have 3 salespeople, a finance person, like a GM, and then that's it. They got 2 advisors, a couple of techs, and they sell 35, 40 cars a month. It's not a huge store, but I can't picture this store having been in there. And I didn't buy my car there, but I serviced my car there. I know a couple people who work there. I can't picture this store being able to wrap their head around the study, right? The numbers of like, oh man, this would be a way that we can increase our profitability. Like they're never going to sell more cars, but here's a way we can help increase our profitability, keeping our people happy, training them more, not having to go through the process of finding a new finance manager every 5 years. So I feel like it might be hard to trickle down to those types of stores, but I don't know. I could be wrong because I'm thinking like, oh, a big group, maybe they have like a corporate commitment to this, and then they push it down to their stores. But I could be wrong. That's just kind of the way that I'm just kind of thinking about it.
I don't have the data, but anecdotally, because I grew up with a dad who was a dealer in small town America, a lot of those small town stores are the heartbeat of a community.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are still, given a car for the homecoming parade. Their banner is all over the football, and their T-shirts are all over the Little League and Pee Wee soccer teams, right? So they've created a culture of we're in this community and we care, right? I think I've noticed that in the more corporate environments, that's become more difficult for them to wrap their arms around because it sort of depends on that GM to go, oh no, I'm going to allocate some money to Pee Wee soccer or Little League. But when you talk about culture, you're talking about the kinds of things that I think are values-based, that are the kinds of things that make people say, we're going to so value Matt as an employee that we're going to make sure Matt doesn't leave because I got to get Matt to the 2 and 3 year point with my organization because that provides stability to Matt, his kids, his family, our company, our customers. Customers are saying loudly with their dollar, Matt, that if I don't find the same people there, my willingness to score you good at CSI, my willingness to repurchase and service my vehicle there go way down.
Before we wrap up, what are some things that dealers can think about or take action on right now to start to make a difference in this?
Define an onboarding plan and define it as more than the first 3 days or 3 weeks. Onboarding should be a continuum of what do the first 24 months look like? What are going to be the activities I do that provide growth, learning, and sustainment of an income for the first 24 months of a salesperson, service advisor? Let's not forget these technicians. We only get 56% of them to the 3-year point.
Wow.
Right? And every dealer I know in America is going, I need more technicians. They're hard to find, right? But we're only getting 56% to the 3-year point, right? And so I think every dealer has to say, I'm going to make the effort. And I would say do it in Q4 right now, right? Don't let these 3 months get lost, Matt, because as the industry keeps adapting and evolving next year, if you're not ready with, okay, I've got X number of people who've been with me 12, 18 months now, how will I get them through 2023? Specifically, every tech that's been here only 19 or 20 months, every service advisor, every quick lane advisor, every salesperson, how do I get them past 24 months? Get them into the 3rd year and life changes.
Yeah.
They make more, they gross more, they're more efficient. Gross profit per employee starts to grow and grow and grow across my company. How am I going to do that? And put it in writing, start to create action plans and accountability in Q4. It doesn't have to be perfect. Make progress. Make progress in Q4 on that.
You could almost argue that it's more beneficial for fixed ops. Like I'm just thinking about, a technician comes in and does certification. Sometimes you send them off to school somewhere for a week. You're paying for them to go somewhere and train. They come in, you have another technician spend 2 weeks with them going through you're putting a lot into getting that person up to speed. And then to lose that person, would you say 56% make it to the 1 year mark? Or 3 year mark?
56% of technicians are in the 3-year retention.
I mean, think about that.
Where did the rest go?
Yeah.
And how do we let that happen?
So you should get your GM, your sales manager, your fixed ops manager, and your HR person all together in a room, identify the issue, come to an agreement that this is an issue, and start a plan from there. And I like what you said about it doesn't have to be perfect. Come up with something, roll it out, and then tweak it from there. Because I think a lot of times you'll think about it and you'll say, "Oh, it's not done. It's not quite there," and then you just end up not doing anything.
Yes. It gets daunting to look at a 24-month plan.
Yes.
If you think it has to be super robust and perfect. Hey, make a list of the books you want them to read over the next 24 months. Make progress and don't make the benchmark perfection or you'll never tackle it because it looks too daunting. Make progress. James Clear, I don't know if you read the book Atomic Habits. This is a fabulous book, but James Clear says it all the time. Right? Get 1% better every day. I consider myself a really good reader, but I only read 10 pages a day. But I read 10 pages a day, 365 days a year.
Wait, let me do some math. Hold on. 365 times 10. That's 3,650. Wow, I should have done that in my head. That's very embarrassing. That's a lot of pages.
I was like, what's it getting account for? But that's why I read so much, right? I read so much because I read 10 pages a day, right?
Yeah.
I don't try to read an entire book in a week. I just read 10 pages a day. And if in the dealership of a GM and a service director went, okay, I'm going to get 1% better this month. Let's get a little better at this retention thing. And man, if you did that, if you did it all the time, we'd all be like Ed Roberts. Do you know Ed Roberts down at Bozard Ford?
Yep.
Right? We'd be like Ed Roberts. Man's got 97% retention in his technicians for 3 years.
Amazing. Unheard of, sounds like. If you look at the numbers.
Great leader, always working on being 1% better.
David O'Brien, President and CEO at Quantum 5. You guys obviously know what you're talking about. How can dealers tap into, let's do the pluggy plug part here at the end. How can dealers tap into your knowledge and help themselves?
Hey, so, reach out to either myself or Sarah Van Tyne. It's Sarah at quantum5.ai or DOB at quantum5.ai. Either one of those would be awesome. If you're only going to take one action with us, it's a simple, non-committal, easy to do action. Do an ESI survey at the end of the year this year. Figure out where your people are, figure out why they say they're thinking about leaving, gather data. You don't have to hire us to help. You don't have to hire anybody to help. Go fix it yourself, Mr. Dealer, but get data in Q4 about, hey, what's going on with my team?
I like it. David, I appreciate your time. Let's do it again real soon.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Keep up the great work.
Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, brought to you by Auto Dealer Network TV. Think about what's going on right now in your customer sitting area, right? They're sitting around on couches in the waiting area, waiting for their car to be done in the service department, watching CNN, angry television. And what are they about to see? A commercial for your competition located right down the road. What? That's kind of a worst case scenario, right? Well, Auto Dealer Network TV solves that problem. No angry or controversial programming in your waiting area. Did I say that right? Controversial. Yeah. Anyway, no angry or controversial programming in your waiting area. No other dealers or manufacturers' commercials in the eye face holes of your customer. Yeah. You need Auto Dealer Network TV, private television from people, though, people TV. So professional television programs, no controversy, and your commercials from your store and your OEM. It's the best case scenario for your waiting areas. Auto Dealer Network TV. Find them online at autodealernetwork.tv. Yes. Now back to the show. All right, we're back. Before I let you go, I just want to make a comment on Oreos. My mother-in-law got me a box of mega stuff Oreos, which is a bit of overkill. You don't need that much cream in your Oreos. And it got me thinking, because I'm a deep thinker, it got me thinking that Oreos don't have enough self-confidence, right? Regular Oreos are perfect just the way they are. Delicious, right? Then they come out with double stuff Oreos. All right, double stuff, not bad. People love sequels, right? We as humans, we love the next thing, the sequel to the movie. But a lot of times you don't need the sequel. The original can stand on its own, which we all know Oreos can stand on their own. So double stuff, all right, I give it to you. But mega stuff Oreos, mega, too much cream. You can only eat 2 mega stuff Oreos. How many Oreos do you really need? How much cream do you need in your Oreo? So I'm here to say, Oreos, have more self-confidence in yourself because we believe in you. But you can only affect positive change in your life if you believe in you. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's what I feel. That's how I feel about Oreos. Thanks for listening. Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, presented by Silverback Advertising.
Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson is brought to you by... Wait, this guy has sponsors? Oh, never mind. This sheet of paper's blank. No sponsors. That makes more sense. For updates, info, future episodes, and more, follow on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and connect on Frackle. You guys made that last one up. That's not even a thing, Frackle.